And we are live. That's probably the best opening sentence you're going to get on Movie Battleground ever. So, hello and welcome, everyone. We are in the tournament, Movie Battleground, and we have an awesome match for you guys coming up today. We have two very strong competitors going in this round one match. Let's just get straight into this. We have as well three fantastic judges. I'm going to introduce first Kevin, the big Poss man, Poss. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks, and looking forward to these two competitors. I know both of them pretty well via the and their moves apparently are fantastic. I know both of them via the Facebook page and trivia, and they are both really wise, and I'm interested to see what they have to say. So let's get it going.
Absolutely great to have you on board. And yes, we do. We are resourceful here. We do like to have our competitors act as like handy models when we're introducing as well. So, you know, we're just putting everyone to good work here. So second up, a man I've been lucky enough to face in Movie Battleground myself, very knowledgeable guy, very strong competitor. It is Major Payne himself, Brian Payne. How are you doing, friends?
How you doing, Andrew? I'm doing really good. I'm actually glad to be a part of this. So far, I can't wait to see what this match holds for us. I've seen like Andrew Eli a couple times around multiplex and TMMG, so I definitely want to see how, from at least my perspective, and since I'll be judging the match, how knowledgeable they are, how well they're going to do in this match, and also who's going to slip up first, just for research purposes. No motives.
Absolutely fantastic. I can tell we've got a lot of excitement from the judges. So introducing finally on the judges panel today, someone I have personally not met through this community, but well liked, well respected by everyone. Of course, it is Dr. Spaceman Alan Shepard. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Aloha. Good to officially meet you, Andrew. I'm very excited. I've seen other Andrew compete many times in many different facets. Eli a little bit here and there, but not too terribly familiar with his style. So I'm looking forward to this matchup.
Fantastic. Okay, so without further ado, we have two fantastic competitors today. This is going to be a hell of a match. So let's bring them to the ring. First of all, I will enter, little to his knowledge, the number 9 seed with a record of 1 win and 0 defeats. It is the Dive, Andrew Barr. How are you doing, Andrew? You ready for this?
I'm excited. I just found out I was the number 9 seed, so that boosts my confidence up a lot. So I can't wait.
Yeah, fantastic. We thought we'd give you a little boost going into this, but not as an unfair advantage, because you are up against the number 7 seed. His record is 2 wins and 1 defeat. It's the showman himself, Mr. Eli McCaig. Good evening.
Hello, everybody. The showman is back in Movie Battleground, and it's so good to be back, because the last time you all saw me, I went up against Brooklyn. I really want to win in this tournament. I'm up against someone in Movie Battleground that I've never gone up against before. The only time I've ever actually been on the same call as Andrew Barr is when we did a draft, and he got very close to winning that draft. I don't know the final polls results of that, but I think I'm pretty high. That's just my particular opinion, but I'm so excited. Let's do this.
Okay, I think we have two very amped up competitors today. This is what we like to see. So we have, for those of you who've never watched Movie Battleground before or any of its affiliate leagues, we have 4 questions that we are debating in our main rounds of debate today. The competitors will get opening arguments. This will be done individually. They will then get 5 minutes of free-form debate. No holds barred. They can go at each other. They can fight as much as they can over screens. Then, once the 5 minutes is up, they have 1 minute closing debate to summarize their arguments, and this will once again be done individually. We have a really good range of questions today. I'm super excited to get into them. So without further ado, let's get into question 1 in the category of comic book movies. What Marvel Cinematic Universe film had the best opening sequence? Now, I'm going to go to our lower ranked seeds to start off with our opening argument. That will be Andrew Barr. So, whenever you're ready, you have 1 minute from when you start speaking.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe has a lot of really good opening sequences, but not a lot of really great opening sequences. However, I think that there is one that does stand above the rest and actually stands the test of time very well, and that is the opening to Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is the scene where Falcon and Captain America are running around, and it's the famous "on your left" scene, which leads into the notebook that has all of the references that Steve has to study up on. And I think this is one that really builds the characters, story, and universe the best. And I'll get into the rest of it in the 5 minute.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So we have Andrew arguing for Captain America: The Winter Soldier. So same for you, Eli. Give us the name of the film you're arguing for and your opening arguments 1 minute from when you start talking.
Whenever I look into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I looked at every single opening sequence that has. I went through every single movie in my head and was thinking, okay, what best encapsulates the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And not only was I looking for that, I was also looking to what the introduction of a character. And the only one I could think of was the opening of the Marvel Cinematic Universe to begin with, and that's the opening of Iron Man. Because in that not only do we have an idea of what the character of Tony Stark is like, but we also get a sort of feel and tone of the entire MCU. The very comedic element of Robert Downey Jr. basically stealing the show as he normally does. In that opening sequence, we get a quick sort of rundown of who is his character. Also, it's a great way to introduce the world to, hey, this is something different than just a normal Marvel movie. This is something, and I'll go more into it in my 5 minutes.
That was almost perfect for your timing, Eli. That was almost a perfect minute. Thank you so much for that. So I'm now going to put 5 on the clock and we will go. This is free form now. This is your guys' chance to really slug it out. So 5 minutes from when either of you starts talking.
Okay, so I want to bring up something that Eli said in his opening argument, which is that this is the one that best encapsulates the universe and the character. Robert Downey Jr. in this opening scene is still trying to figure out who he is as a character. He's actually going to grow into his performance in later movies. This is still very kind of stiff, and he's still figuring it out. Plus, with my universe, Chris Evans already knows who his character is. He's very comfortable with his character, and it's a lot easier to deal with because it's nowhere near as kind of clunky as the opening of Iron Man is.
You're saying that my opening is clunky, but if you can talk to anyone, and myself, Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in that opening, it is not clunky whatsoever. He's going smooth into that transition. He is basically the character from the moment you see him, and that's what's so great. You are able to believe, oh yeah, this guy is Tony Stark. There's no way to disprove any of that because he's so smooth into it. When you look at the opening of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, you're very much like, oh, I have to remind myself what happened in First Avenger and in the Avengers to fully mentally catch up to what this movie is and what's happening in this opening. Whereas, again, in Iron Man, you don't have to catch up at all. You're just like, okay, I'm into it because I've already believed that this character is Iron Man.
You do not need those other movies to catch up. I actually saw this movie before First Avenger and the Avengers, and I was able to seamlessly glide into what was going on because of the dialogue scene between Sam and Steve. The whole marshmallow thing and him being stuck in the ice. I immediately understood what was going on, even though I had not seen those previous scenes. Also, the opening to Iron Man is super clunky because you can tell that, as most people know, a lot of the dialogue in Iron Man is improvised, and you can feel it. in this opening scene, because there are some lines that are just kind of cringy in the sense, like the whole the bone structure line and the MySpace line, which is going to be super dated in time, whereas my scene's not going to be dated because all of the things that are referenced in mine are already dated but still well known. Yours is not going to age well.
You don't think it's going to age well because, of your opinion, it is clunky. But again, you saying it's clunky is completely off base. And though you did state a fact that the movie was completely improvised, you have an actor like Robert Downey Jr. who can very much work well into that improvised scene. And I
The
think
others
all
can't.
the jokes that are even said landed. Well, they were probably already dialogue there. And that works because they're supposed to be nervous about meeting Tony Stark, and they're nervous, so they have very much like, oh, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? That works with the characters that are in there, with able to work with them, because a good actor and a good improviser can work with anyone. Because, and trust me, I've had experience with improvisation. If you're a good improviser, you can work with anything, and he was able to work with anything, and he can make that scene very memorable. And again, this also, and you're talking about how this works for the Captain America. This works just for the universe in general, because when you see it, you get an idea of like, okay, this is the direction of what this universe is. It's going to be very serious, because we can't forget it's more than just a conversation with those soldiers. It's also right after that when they all die, and then you see the explosion into the heart, and that's when you're like, oh, this is Iron Man. This is what's happening. This is the story, and we're going deep into the comics with this universe.
But you don't really get the switch into Iron Man until halfway through. He gets back from being captured, and he's still kind of Tony Stark. His transition doesn't happen until a little later on in the movie. Plus, with mine, not only is it better edited and better shot, the shakiness is a little too much in Iron Man. Plus, the editing's choppy, and there's a weird sound garbling moment. But also, you want to talk about building the universe? Let's talk about the best friendship in the entire MCU, which is Sam and Steve. To the point where Steve gives Sam his shield at the end of the universe. You had your time, sir. You had your time. So Steve gives Sam the shield at the end. And also, you want to build the universe? Well, how about on your left being in Avengers Endgame, being at the height of one of the best moments in the entire MCU? And it builds Steve's knowledge of who you can trust versus who tells you that they can trust you.
I'm just saying the best for you is Ned and Peter, but that's a different argument. To the actual point at hand, you're saying you complained about that sound garble, that I hear an explosion and it's ringing in your ear because your eardrums just exploded. So that makes sense to the scene. And that scene in the Iron Man opening just works because all the characters...
Time. That is 5 minutes up. Woo! Okay. So, Andrew opened first, so Eli, you are going to close first for us. 1 more minute for you to summarize when you start talking.
Overall, the opening of Iron Man best encapsulates what a character is going to start out as, to show you that there is going to be a journey from this to the ending. Not only that, it also shows you the journey of how the universe is going to start and how it's going to end, because that's the point of this opening sequence. It is opening in, this is what we're doing. Watch as the character shifts. The Captain America Winter Soldier opening is just and going, hey, this is something that we think this could be fun, and let's do it. And I very think they don't really continue on to that opening, because they don't really take back anything that starts out in that opening and continues it on. The arc has to be in one movie. Opening sequence at the beginning of Iron Man, you see the arc and the change at the end. Whereas in Winter Soldier, it still seems like the same Captain America from the beginning to the end of Winter Soldier.
Okay, thank you very much. So, this is it. This is to round off question 1. Andrew, 1 minute whenever you start talking.
So Captain America the Winter Soldier also really does help build the ending of the universe. As I said, with the whole on your left line and Sam's friendship with Steve. Also, the simplicity in mine were a lot better than the simplicity in Eli's. It's more self-contained. Also, I would also say that the humor in mine actually it works a little better because, as I said, it's going to be dated from Iron Man, but mine has "Don't you say it! Don't you say it!" Ah! And it also has, "Hey boys, I'm going to the Smithsonian looking for a fossil." Mine actually works better as a contained scene because it's not only really shot well, it's acted very well from literally everybody else in the scene, and it's better constructed. And the shots are actually beautiful. The cinematography in that opening scene, where you see just the scale of everything and you see running by real fast, it sets up his powers, it sets up his character, and it sets up the movie. And that's why it's the best opening scene of an MCU film.
Okay. Whew. I don't envy the judges today. Judges. Kevin, how are you judging round one?
This is tough. Wow. Two really good arguments. Andrew, you made some really good points about how this has stood the test of time. It is great. It's not just good. Cut myself short before I just keep on rambling because I love both these movies. I got to give the point to Andrew. He just made a better argument and made some good counterpoints to your points, Eli.
Okay, that's 1 point to Andrew then. So, Ryan.
Okay. Kevin had the same. My thoughts are the same as Kevin's. Though both these guys had great arguments. They hit each other very well. How Andrew hits Eli on Iron Man's opening being clunky. He does specify on the improvisation because it does hurt, but Eli did make a great comeback on how it works for Robert Downey Jr. But he didn't fully counter on the fact that the improv didn't work for the other members of the cast. And also, I did wanted to. Also a point of order. When Eli says the Iron Man opening, I wasn't sure what opening is he talking about. Is he talking about the one in the Bellagio where Tony Stark's getting that award, or is he talking about the scene in Iraq when he gets injured? I wanted some more detail in there to specify on the opening because Andrew, so he gave detailed notes. He specifically said it's the first, the Winter Soldier. It's the on your left scene, the jog, and from there on, he's able to focus his argument on that end. That's not going to ding too much on Eli, but I was just hoping for just some more detail on Eli from his opening to solidify his argument. So, unfortunately, I am going to give my point to Andrew on that. I just wanted to hear more on the opening of Iron Man, just because it was very close. I was just hoping I could get some more.
Okay, so that's 2 points for Andrew, so he will take this round. I will just ask if Alan has any extra thoughts he'd like to bring into the mix.
Not really. I think kind of agree. I would have given the point to Andrew, but Eli, you did a very good job. I think of setting up how the opening of Iron Man has a lot to do, and it accomplishes it well. Setting up not only the who Iron Man is as a character, a lot of people weren't familiar with that character at first, but also setting up the style and the tone of what these future films will also adhere to. So it was kind of a big task that it was doing, and it had no idea itself that it was going to create this monumental film series and franchise that it did. But it did a good job in setting up, okay, this is Iron Man as a character, and this is who he is and who he's going to basically be holding the weight of the world on his shoulders. So I think you did a good job there. I still would have given my point to Andrew because he had a little more detail in the openings and even reminding me of some of the things that it done.
Okay.
But Eli, you did a great job, man. Great job.
Good job, Eli.
Okay, so yeah, a fantastic first round from both competitors. It is going to be 1-0 to Andrew after round one, though. Is there? Okay, so Andrew takes the 1-0 lead. We are, of course, playing first to 3 here. Apologies if I didn't mention that at the start. So we do obviously love our comic book movies here, but we are also deathly afraid of hate mail from Francis Ford Coppola. So we are going to move into round 2 in the category of classics. And the question here, what is the best Marlon Brando performance. The legend, the icon Marlon Brando. We started with Andrew in the last round, so Eli will give us his introduction. 1 minute whenever you start talking.
It's funny you mentioned Francis Ford Coppola. The greatest performance from Marlon Brando is from The Godfather, as he played Don Vito Corleone. And I believe that's the best performance. Just when you look at it, he sort of goes into the method acting of that he's very much known for doing. And he gained some weight. He put cotton balls in his mouth to constantly get his cheeks to stay in that position. And not only that, he was able to create more and add more into a scene when originally it was just simply him sitting down. There was a cat on the set. He brought a cat and he incorporated it into the scene and made him even more of an integral character, an interesting character to watch every single time you saw him in that one scene, because all you were doing was just focusing on him, and you had him and you were listening to everything. Though he had this cat, which should have showed that he was not a menacing character, even though at the same time in the back of your head he was menacing. So I believe Godfather is the best performance.
That's 1 minute. Okay, so The Godfather, one of the iconic roles, the iconic films of cinema. What will it be up against, Andrew? 1 minute whenever you start talking.
Okay, cool. Yes, Marlon Brando is known as the king of method acting. However, I think the best use of his talents was actually in the movie On the Waterfront. On the Waterfront is the Elia Kazan movie from the 50s where he plays a dock worker that turns into a whistleblower. And this is the movie where he actually gets to show off his full acting talent. This is a movie that he doesn't have anything to hide behind. He doesn't have the weight or the reputation or the cotton. And this is the chance that he uses to get his full acting range out there. And it is marvelous, and it is magnificent, and it is heartbreaking and terrifying all in one movie. And I'm going to use the rest of my time in the freeform.
And once again, another one of the all-time greats On the Waterfront. So, gentlemen, 5 minutes are on the clock. Freeform debate. We will get going once the first person starts talking.
Andrew, you mentioned how On the Waterfront is performances, and while I agree, it is a great performance, it is not his best. And one of the reasons why I believe that, not only do I believe it, it has been a proven fact that Godfather is one of his best performances, is because he nominated and he Oscar for Best Actor because of that performance. He outshined the person who was supposed to be the main character, Al Pacino, in a movie. And it's one of the greatest performances, and it's also memorable. And when you see his character, you can automatically think, oh yeah, I remember what Marlon Brando was doing, because they were great at acting. You can remember a lot of his lines. You can remember his postures. He is, again, that character in particular is one of the most impressionable characters, where when I say that, I mean a lot of people love to do impressions of him as that character, because that's how memorable that performance is.
That performance is iconic, but it's not his best acted. And also, you brought up his Oscar. He won Best Actor for On the Waterfront as well. So that point, it's kind of moot. But also, if you do want to bring that up, let's be honest. The Academy gave him this award because it was Marlon Brando's comeback. He had not done anything really of note for a long, long time. And this was the Academy's moment to go, Marlon Brando, one of our actors of our time, is back in a movie. Let's give him the award. Even though Duvall, Caan, and Pacino, even Talia Shire and John Cazale are all acting a whole lot better than he is in that movie. His is the more iconic role because of how he looks and because of the story itself, not necessarily because of his performance.
And usually when it comes to looks are included into a performance, if you appear into a performance, that helps increase it. And I think just saying like, oh, he's able to show it. He's able to show it with how his voice is and how his body is, like the way he moves and like that. I think that if you can disappear into a if you disappear into makeup or into that, and you can still come out making a great performance, I think that adds to his performance. Whereas still just him just acting like Marlon Brando. I hate to say it, but that's very much in The Godfather. He wasn't really Marlon Brando. He was Vito Corleone, and I believed it every step of the way.
You said that he's acting like Marlon Brando in On the Waterfront, which I cannot disagree with more. There's the whole glove scene when Eva Marie Saint's character, Edie Doyle, drops her glove, and suddenly he goes from this tough guy to kind of light, and because he's playing with the glove on his own hand. Plus, acting like Marlon Brando, let's talk about his performance in Superman, because he's giving the exact same performance in Superman. The whole mumble mouth, kind of monotone, kind of, listen to me because I'm the smart one, I'm your father. He's giving the same performance in Superman, and he's giving a completely different performance than he gives in any other movie and On the Waterfront.
I think you're automatically just assuming that just because he was aging and he was probably, I think in your words, what you said, that he was phoning it in with the other performances, and I can't disagree.
Like he does in The Godfather.
Because, well, that's a disagreement. Let me disagree with you, because, and I think On the Waterfront, even if you look at all of Marlon Brando's performances, all of them seem a little bit mumbled. There are a lot of times when you can't understand him in a majority of his movies, but we're not determining if he's a mumbler or if he's an actual talker. We're determining what performance he is doing is best. And again, it's the more iconic he's able to show more. And if he's able to outshine Al Pacino, Talia Shire, Robert Duvall, James able to outshine all of them, then I think this should show that that is the best performance. Because even again, you said they were giving Grace able to outshine them, because freaking Al Pacino got nominated for Best Supporting Actor when this is just me. Al Pacino should not have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor. He should have been nominated for Best Lead Actor. Like, it should have been like a co-thing. But then Marlon Brando won the award, again showing that he was better than Al Pacino.
Which he would not have won Best Actor had Pacino been in that race. They would have not only split it, but he possibly would have lost to Pacino. Once again, it was the Academy having a chance to give Marlon Brando another award. Also, when it comes to the mumbling, you can hear him super clearly in On the Waterfront, especially in the I Could Have Been a Contender scene, which is also iconic, but we're not arguing iconic, we're arguing best performance. The pigeon scene in On the Waterfront, when he's going up and he sees all of his pigeons' necks have been wrung, and it just breaks his heart because he knows that he's the pigeon that is being threatened, and he's scared and he is sad.
Fine. Oh. This is a strong one. This is a very strong one. Andrew, you have 1 minute to close off your arguments whenever you start talking, my friend.
So Marlon Brando's performance in The Godfather is more iconic, but that's because of the way he looks and the story itself, not necessarily his performance. Also, a lot of his performance is ADR'd in The Godfather, so you're not even really getting a full performance for the entire thing. You're getting two performances layered on top of each other. And you can't say that it's because of the cotton, because there are other scenes where he has the cotton in his mouth that is not being ADR'd, and you can hear him clearly. Also, he's kind of cheating. He has lines in drawers and behind picture frames, so he's kind of cheating with that. But with On the Waterfront, you have so many scenes where there's a range of emotions, from being playful with the glove, to being scared and sad with the pigeons, to being angry and just pure hate when he has the gun in Johnny Friendly's bar. And all of the other scenes where his just internal struggle is just written on his face, and you feel every single moment and feeling that he is performing in that movie. It's his best performance, even though it may not be his most iconic.
1 minute. Okay, so Eli, your chance to fire back. 1 minute for The Godfather whenever you are ready, pal.
Based off of everything that you are arguing, Andrew, you were saying that On the Waterfront is probably his best performance, most likely because it was when he was in his youth, and he was probably a little bit more hungry, as we all are in our youth. But I'm saying that The Godfather is his best performance is because you're right. I am saying it is the most iconic, but it's iconic because he made sure that it was iconic, because he was delivering the greatest performance that you'll probably ever see him perform. Just simply because he doesn't need to perform that. It's sort of like Robert De Niro nowadays. He does not need to act and perform great. He did. And if you're saying that him line reading and hiding scripts around is a detriment, I don't think it is. I think it's trying to make sure that he can continue to give a great about how the little things he was playing with the glove. You can't forget about the scene where he was petting the cat, where you knowing like, oh, he is a menacing figure, but you're not going to see it right now because he is petting this cat and he is showing that he can be gentle and menacing at the same time.
1 minute. Whew. Okay, this is a battle right here. We have two of the all-time greats going up against each other. One all-time great actor, Major Payne. Give us your thoughts, please.
Okay, you guys really aren't making this easy here, and I'm not saying that in a bad way. You guys really came out with all the hits here. Geez, this is a hard one. This is pretty much like a 50-50 here. I think for me, what really came down to it was the ending of the debate round, also your closing arguments here. And Andrew, you really did explain and also detailed why Brando did have a great performance in On the Waterfront. You mentioned the glove scene he did with Eva Marie Saint was great. I mean, you referenced the I could have been a contender monologue. And you both did great knocks on each other when it came to the Oscar wins. But Eli, you also as well, you were hitting right back, especially in the closing, how you countered his points on Brando using hiding scripts around, trying to use line reads, how you use that as an advantage to show that Brando was serious about this. Like at his age, he could not have done that. So before I keep rambling on here, ultimately when it came down to it, there's a certain note I have. Yeah, the note on the Oscar when you guys talked about how Brando, even though he outshines Pacino in his mumble talk, but Eli, you kept coming back here. You showed better defenses. You had more strong points, and you really were tuned in to Brando for The Godfather. But you also really showed us why it's very iconic, because he disappears into the role. And if it comes to an acting performance, to show you that if you can't recognize the actor and only see the character, then that truly shows why it's a great acting performance. And I'm going to give my point to Eli.
Okay, so it's advantage Eli. Alan, let's hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Ryan. This was a good, even match. I mean, you both had really good points in explaining why the roles were iconic and why Brando is, one of the most iconic, greatest actors of our time. I think I am just. It was so good. I'm gonna go give it to Andrew, only because he really, the passion in which that he was reminding us of the specific scenes, and we could see what Brando was going through. Eli, you're right. The iconic nature of what he was doing with Corleone could not be understated at all. It was incredible, and probably be remembered long after all of us are gone. But I think Andrew just hit a little bit harder with reminding of Brando's capabilities in the various scenes and all the different emotions that he went through on the waterfront. So I'm going to give it to Andrew.
Okay, this is what the fans love to see. Pressure on the third judge. It's decision time, Kevin.
All right. I'll try to keep it concise. I'm going to have to give this point to Andrew.
Okay, so on a split decision, round 2 goes to Andrew Barr. So he takes a 2-0 overall lead. So he is on match point now. So still a long way to go, though. And Eli.
You want to know something interesting, Andrew? I have not
What's
seen
that?
either movie. I have seen Knives making everything up.
You did a great job with it, but I highly recommend really On the Waterfront. I really do.
Yeah, man, you are missing out big time. Wow.
I've been meaning
So,
to watch
shock
that for a
revelation.
long time.
Wow. Okay. So,
I haven't seen it in years.
Eli is turning up to play today. He is 2 down, but he has big opportunities to turn it around. So, round 3 is in the category of animated movies. Now, as I read this question out, I just want us to remember we've just debated The Godfather versus Lord of the Rings. Please have that in the forefront of your mind. The question is, what is the worst? What is the worst Ice Age film? Bringing out all the showstoppers today. So it is back
That's
over
him.
to Andrew to give the introduction first. So let me get my clock up. Talking.
All right, let's first off agree that the Ice Age franchise as a whole should not have gone past 2 movies. The first movie is good. The second movie is okay. Everything else is crap afterwards. However, the crappiest one is the last one, which is Collision Course. Oh my God, this is a pile of trash. I hate everything about it. The animation has not changed at all, and you would think by the 5th movie it would have gotten better. The jokes are just the lamest. The characters have become super one-dimensional, and they have really just stuck to that one thing. They become caricatures, not characters, and this is the movie that really set that in stone. So I want to say so much more, but I'm going to wait till I can get as much off of my chest.
Okay, so Andrew once again cutting himself short, but presenting a concise opening there for Collision Course. So, Eli, 1 minute whenever you are ready.
You know, one thing I don't like to do when I'm watching movies is learn about theoretical history. And that's what you do when you watch Ice Age Continental Drift. I mean, we don't even know if Pangea is real, people. He's going, hey, this is what happened. Pangea split, and we're going. What concept is that? Even when you look at the entire thing, this movie should be set way after that, because the first Ice Age has humans walking around, and someone can correct me, but I think humans were after Pangea and the entire Continental Drift. So this movie so much history that I don't even think makes sense anymore. And I'll get more into it when we get into the 5-minute debate. I just want to start off with a joke of Pangea.
And Eli, once again, proving he is a huge fan of well-timed minutes. I'm enjoying both these styles here. So we're going to put 5 on the clock. We are going to debate. I think it's going to be fun. Whenever someone starts talking, we'll get going.
So I guess I'm going first. First of all, in Collision Course, all of the voice actors are just done. You can tell that they don't want to be there. They're half-assing it to a point of insufferability almost. Also, this is the movie where they decided that they were going to market itself to millennials and just put their foot on the gas. Like the whole, oh man, you were like so gangster, you were ninja, bro. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is so annoying. And there are so many other millennial things that they throw in there that just make it more confusing and insufferable.
You say that they phoned it in, and you didn't phone it in the 4th one. That's when it all started. That's when they realized, okay, we're done. We're not going to do this anymore. They were in the 4th one first. You're thinking that this all started in the 5th one? No, it started in the 4th one. And plus, they want to make that entire plot of the going away. No one wants to see that movie. They want to be entertained, and no one was entertained watching Continental Drift. At least when I watch Collision Course, I can be like, oh, the animation's at least a little better from the last one, but that's not saying much when there's even more garbage.
By the fifth one, you would think that the animation was so much better then because you have years of technology that has come along since the first one. Also, you think everyone's phoning it in the fourth one? Sir, Peter Dinklage is having a lot of fun with the performance that he is giving. He is making this movie a little bit more entertaining. Also, your story is better. Your story is about Manny trying to get back to his family. That's actually a story that's actually really interesting, especially with the divide that has been caused by the creation, by the breaking of Pangea. In mine, it's like, oh, asteroids are hitting the world. We got to find something to do. There's no real story in the fifth one.
Manny wanting to find his family. Where I heard that. Wait. There was something about Manny and family in the first one. Wait, there was something about Manny and family in the second one. Wait, I feel like there was something about Manny and family in that story was just old and tired. It was a redone plot device. Everyone had seen it by that point. You were thinking by that, at least by the fourth one, we're like, oh, is Manny finally getting over his family complexes? Sure, it had a story, but it wasn't a good one. And you talk about Peter Dinklage, disrespect Peter Dinklage. He is having fun in every single movie he's in. I know. Look, this may be a debate about determining what we can both agree. Peter Dinklage is amazing. But anyway, moving on.
Yeah, he is awesome.
At least when you, like, in Collision Course, the animation is just a little, and it's so much worse when the animation wasn't even as good to begin with. And in Collision Course, you're talking about how, oh, asteroids are in the world. Yeah, that is a story. That is a very fun story to see because it's fun to see how the characters interact to that idea of how the world is coming to hit us. Not only that, you also get a great tagline in Kiss Your Ice Goodbye. I love Kiss Your Ice Goodbye.
The quest is not best tagline, unfortunately, and the story of how these characters develop in the situation given to them. You mean like the first one? You mean like the fourth one? And come on, like the story is not good. It's just like asteroids are hitting. Oh no, we got to find something. At least with the fourth one, the story is actually more dangerous because of there's pirates and now they're floating on an ice just in the middle of the water. It's actually a more dangerous story. And here's the big kicker. Here's the one thing that everyone agrees is the only good part of the Ice Age series, and that is Scrat. The Scrat sequences in Continental Drift are way better in your movie than my movie. My movie, I didn't chuckle once. Your movie had the Scratlantis sequence, which was actually kind of funny because the animation in the physical animation comedy that they were doing is way better. And if the best part of the thing that everyone agrees is the best part of the franchise is the worst in my movie, ergo, my movie is worse.
Yeah, you're saying that, but you're assuming that people didn't laugh at the Scrat. To you, you didn't laugh. That it hit porously. Again, Scrat is the best part. Scrat is best character. I said it. Scrat, Ice Age 2020 president. But anyway, Continental Drift is bad. Scrat for president.
Scrat for president. I'm with Scrat.
All the acorns. He can take the acorns away from our current president. Hey, we're talking about a bad movie. Let's add some comedy.
Yeah, let's have some fun with this, guys. Let us have our moment.
Oh, I agree, Eli. I agree. That was a lot of fun. 5 minutes in, our top takeaway from that is that Scrat would beat Donald Trump in an acorn or conker fight and be a
you beat anybody.
Amen. Yes. So I don't think these guys like these movies very much. So just to confirm that theory, we have 1 more minute of Eli. Whenever you start talking, bring us home.
Continental Drift is the worst of the Ice Age franchises because it's trying to take actual history and try to show it in a way. This is actually happening when history is something that kids don't want to see in movies. They want to get entertained, and they were not entertained. My opponent talked about, oh, pirates. No, the pirates weren't entertaining at all. Nothing in this movie was entertaining. And plus, it reused a plot point from the previous movies about money. That is the most obvious plot point that the entire Ice Age franchise has ever used, and it gets annoying. And plus, Scrat was not correctly in this movie. He was better utilized in Collision Course, and I think the animation style alone in Collision Course makes it better. Then, in my opinion, Collision Course is a better movie than Continental Drift because of the animation style. And I'm done.
Okay. Lovely stuff. Another near perfect minute. Fantastic. Andrew, your last chance of retaliation. Let's hear you. When you start talking, you have 1 minute.
So my opponent brought up the fact that he thinks that my movie brings up redone plot points, while his movie does the exact same thing. His movie is also the exact same plot points as the other movies, so that point is absolutely moot. You don't think mine is entertaining? First of all, Peter Dinklage singing that one pirate song, that was fun. I enjoyed that. The Scratlantis sequence, that was great because it showcases the high points of Scrat, which is the physical comedy, which works better in my movie than your movie because the physical comedy in mine is dull. Also, I can tell you who the villain in your movie is. I don't know if you could tell who the villain in my movie is. And because of that, I don't think my movie is as memorable. So with that, I'm going to leave this up to the judges.
Well, you heard it there. It is now up to the judges. So, this is a tough day for you lads. Let's see what we have to answer this. Alan, you're up first. Give us your thoughts, please.
Well, first of all, both of you did a good job talking in a fun way about terrible films. And I commend you if, in fact, you did watch these films. I pity you and admire you at the same time. You both had equally good points. You made equally good points about why your film was the worst, and even I liked you throwing barbs at the other one and say, "Oh, your movie is better because of this, and this." I think, but I'm gonna go with Eli, simply because he utilized the Scrat argument best. So I'm gonna go with Eli.
Okay, advantage Eli. Let's go to Kevin. Do you agree? Disagree? Let's hear it.
Man, this was after the last two arguments. This was like fighting over scraps. There were some good arguments made by both. The voice actors mailing it in. Yeah, I have to go with Eli, just because it's not set in the correct time period. Like he said, there were no humans, and there were in the prequels, and I just can't stand that kind of stuff in my animated stuff. So it's aimed at kids, and I don't like it. So give that point to Eli.
Okay, so Eli takes that point. He will take this round. Before we move on, though, we're not going to leave Ryan out. So do you agree with the verdict so far?
Yeah, I agree with the verdict. I would have given my point to Eli as well because, I mean, trust me, both you guys made great points that both the voice cast really did come out to phoning it in. I mean, made good points that the Manny storyline with his family issues should have been resolved. The fact that they kept dragging it through, even though it made more sense in the fourth one, in the fifth one, though, looked like it wasn't needed. And Andrew, if you had brought up the point about the villain during the debate, I would have given you that too. But since you brought up in your closing where he can't really respond, I couldn't in good conscience give you that point, though, even though it's a great point. If you had brought that in the debate and he had no defense against that, you definitely would have had the slighter edge in this. But Eli got the edge ultimately.
Okay, so all three judges going to Eli. So he is not going down without a fight. Maybe he's not going down at all. There is a long way to go in this game still. It is now 2-1 to Andrew as we go into our fourth and final question of free debate. And this one is in the category of dramas / indies. And this is a super interesting question we have to debate here. What is the best indie of the 2010s? So what is the best independent film of the decade just passed? Lots to pick from, super interesting category. So, okay, so we are going to go back to Eli for the introduction. He's going to kick us off first. So best independent film of the 2010s. 1 minute when you're ready. Let's hear your thoughts.
When you think about the independent film genre, you don't really think of it as a broad category, but it is a very broad category. Films that really steal shows that people will always remember, and then there are independent films that no one has ever seen or heard of and are probably really bad. But in my opinion, the best independent film of the 2010s is the movie that really introduced us to a great filmmaker and an amazing actor that probably at the time we had never even knew existed as a great actor, and that is Fruitvale Station. Fruitvale Station introduced us all to Ryan Coogler and pretty much showed us all like, oh, this guy can do a good movie, and he has proven to continue to direct very good movies. And it even showcased Michael B. Jordan, who at the time was only known for The Wire and Hardball, and a lot of people probably didn't expect him to be as great an actor as he was. But after seeing it, you're very much like, oh, this guy is an amazing actor, and I can't wait to see more of him. So my pick is Fruitvale Station.
Okay, so Eli kicking us off with Fruitvale Station from a little bit earlier in the decade. So, Andrew, this is your minute. This is your film. What are you picking to go up against Fruitvale Station? 1 minute when you start talking.
So I'm going to go with one that's a little bit more recent, actually. And it's one that got a Best Picture nomination. And it got a lot of acclaim from its critics as well, as Fruitvale Station did, but a little bit more, which is Yorgos Lanthimos' The Favorite. This movie, I think, is a masterpiece in every aspect, from its acting, to its writing, to its direction, to its cinematography, to everything. The costumes, even the set design, is all beautiful to look at on a budget of $15 million, which is so much more less than other movies usually use to get that kind of look. It also introduced us to Olivia Colman. This movie also introduced us to a newer face that has suddenly become a really big figure. Olivia Colman does a fantastic job in this movie, but I want to save that a little bit later on in the arguments.
Okay, and well, does anything really sort of define independent film as having two such different things go up against each other? Fruitvale Station, The Favourite. It's 5 minutes of free debate from whenever the first person gets talking. I cannot wait for this one.
So Eli brought up that Michael B. Jordan really steals the show and has a breakthrough performance. Once again, I will say that Olivia Colman does the exact same thing, but here's the difference. Olivia Colman is not the only person giving a fantastic performance in this movie. You have Emma Stone giving her best performance to date. You have Rachel Weisz giving her best performance to date. You have Nicholas Hoult giving his best performance to date, a performance that should have gotten a lot more recognition. Michael B. Jordan is the only one giving a great performance in Fruitvale Station, even over Octavia Spencer, who normally is a great actress, but in this movie was really good.
I think I have to disagree with you on that sense. I think that Octavia Spencer is giving an amazing performance alongside with Michael B. Jordan. You forgot two actors who I believe give amazing performances in The Women, and they keep their stance and go in and really play menacing figures that in their roles they shouldn't be menacing figures because they're two police officers, and it's Kevin Durant and Chad Michael Murray at that time had only been known for One Tree Hill and really not known as playing a menacing character, which in this movie he shows a sympathetic side and even going, oh, I don't know we should be doing this, but he's still doing it anyway. And then you have Kevin Durant, who's very much known for playing this big, like, menacing figure, and he's continuing to do that, but also he's adding a layer to it of, hey, I'm supposed to be doing this because I am the authority figure and you need to be respecting me. And that's very amazing performance, the way he does it. And the way you're looking at it, you're thinking of a movie of The Favorite that came out last year. That's recent. Again, your eyes may very well be still distilled of, oh, the movie is still recent, it's still amazing, whereas my movie came out in 2013 and it's still able to get people to go, oh yeah, it is an amazing movie, and it introduced us to great filmmakers. And at the time, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this is Ryan Coogler's first feature-length film, and then his first feature-length film comes out, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, this guy is going to be the next major director and the next one who's going to be stealing everything." Then I think this movie really adds to that.
But this is also nowhere near his best work. The camera work in this movie is very uneven. Sometimes it works, and sometimes that shaky cam is really distracting and takes you out of a lot of what's happening in the movie. And also, for the two actors that you brought up, I hate to say it, because let's all be honest and let's all be open. What happened to Oscar Grant was a tragedy that should have never happened. But that scene and those two performances are heightened by what happened in real life. And with mine, there's a tight script. There's no padding like there is in Fruitvale Station. Like, you didn't need the scene where he's cleaning up that room. That scene could have been cut easily, but it was there because it needed to be an hour and a half long. Mine is a tight script where everything weaves together perfectly. All of the actors and actresses in this movie are fantastic. Plus, this is a movie where the cinematography works in its favor. The fisheye lenses that they use in this movie is used perfectly to show the wonky nature of everything that's happening. And the slow-mo is used to show the ridiculous nature of how these rich, privileged people act.
I think the camera movement in Fruitvale Station really does work. Like, the shaky cam shows a real-life vibe to it. And I really believe, because it is really shaky no matter what you say, and it very much brings out that realism that I saw to it. And I very much think that the entire Fruitvale Station is not need to know Oscar Grant's character before the major thing that happened to him, before his death. And you need to see, and you need to be with that character, understand what he's feeling. And that's very much what the entire movie is. I am with Oscar Grant from beginning to his untimely demise. And I really, because that entire movie got me to grow with him. The Favorite, it makes me constantly wonder, why should I be in favor of Olivia Colman's character? Because she's very much the character. But
that's the point.
If that's the point, then I need to have a full-fledged, like, oh, this is at the beginning, at least say, this is why you're following this character and this is why she's important. But that does not show up in The Favorite.
Yes, it does, because the reason is that you're
at the very beginning. Go ahead.
The reason is because you don't know who to trust in this movie. This movie is an expert move in subverting expectations. Every time you think that you believe and can trust someone, something happens that changes it on a
dime. 5 minutes is up for you guys. So it's intense again. Fruitvale Station versus The Favourites. This is going to be the last of the main round's questions. So this is your potentially last minute to seal your arguments and seal victories. So closing off first will be Andrew. 1 minute whenever you're ready.
Arguing the quality of the movie, and the padding in Fruitvale Station hurts it because it is slow and it's nothing to enhance the story. It is just there to pad the movie out. Whereas my movie is very tight. You know the reasons that the characters are doing what they're doing. You don't expect anything with them because of how well they're written. The performances, all of the performances are super tight. The cinematography is better. The direction is better. Ryan Coogler would go on to do better things in the future. This is a movie where he's just getting his sea legs. Whereas mine is tight when it comes to the direction, the script, the cinematography, the acting, the costumes, the design, literally everything. Whereas it's the better movie because of how well it does playing with your mind and your emotions. Oh, by the way, the one scene where Nicholas Holt's character is like, "Oh, look, a wren," and just pushes her. Damn it. I
Time
just-
is up. Yeah. Almost got it in there, but the minute was unfortunately up for you. So, Eli, this is your moment. Can you snatch a sudden death round, a speed round question? This is your minute to make it happen whenever you're ready.
When Andrew was saying that my movie is filled with pad, it is not filled with pad. It is filled with moments that you need to understand the character of Oscar Grant. It is filled with moments where you need to feel the character and you need to be able to relate to the character and you need to be able to understand what he is going through. And that is exactly how you are feeling the moment you see him die. You are feeling that sadness. You are with his girlfriend and with his daughter in that very final scene when they're in the shower and they are very sad and the daughter is asking, "Where's daddy?" That is very sad. You understand that emotion. You are crying with every single character that is crying over Oscar Grant's death. The way that it is shot, the way it's shaky, you understand this is real. This is real life. And Ryan Coogler directs it in a way to make you understand this is real life. The favorite is very untrusting, and I know my opponent is trying to make it seem like that it wants to be untrusting. When you're watching a movie, you do not want to be questioning every single character. You know what everyone is going through, and I feel like my movie Fruitvale Station does a better job in making sure you understand what everyone's doing.
Time. Okay. Wow. Two fantastic, well-received films. Now that the debate is over, I just want to make a little threat to Andrew Barr as someone who's grown up in Britain, saying that this was the introduction of Olivia Colman. We will be having words. Okay, so Peep Show fans unite. So let's go to Kevin, the big Poss man Poss. Where do you see this one going?
All right. So there's no padding in yours like there was in Fruitvale Station, which Eli brought up. Now, Eli, you did bring up a lot of good points. I like how you brought up Michael B. Jordan, how it showcased him. That was a great move. I don't. Now, to make this concise, to go back to the padding thing, what I need in the shower and when you see him die, those aren't padding. Those are necessary and the shaky cam is necessary. You answered the question, so I'm going to give you the point, Eli.
Advantage Eli. Ryan, what's your verdict?
Oh man, probably would have wanted a few minutes just to recollect my thoughts, but this is definitely an argument of two different, not just two different movies, but you're arguing how of two different styles within the movie. How Andrew, you focus on how the favorite really has a lot of accommodations towards it with the costuming, the direction, the cinematography, and the acting performances. You did have Eli a bit on the ropes when you focused on some of the acting performances. When you mentioned about the supporting cast, had you gone in more details, you could have pushed Eli into a hole. But then when Eli came back at you with Chad Michael Murray and Kevin Durant's performance of the cops, how it portrays the real life, he did ding you back then. But I like how every time he hits you back, you keep you relay to another, like you not change the subject on purpose, though. I mean, not to distract, but to hype up to how. I mean, to really focus on why favorite is better and to explain some of the padding in your arguments regarding Fruitvale. And it was working to your advantage, especially when you mentioned the shaky cam. But once Eli started talking about how the shaky cam adds to the realism, and when you look at the quality of the film itself to where this is Oscar's, this whole thing is a day in Oscar's life, all leading up to that moment. And sure, the realism based on the real life tragedies would hurt the film, but from the way that Eli had talked about it in his closing arguments with the scene, with some of the padded scenes, does add to you some of the normalcy and the struggles that Oscar was dealing with that led up to his unfortunate death, his tragic death, if you had mentioned some more like detailed performances from the cast, like Emma and Rachel and Olivia, and how those three definitely would have gotten you more points. I guess I keep delaying because I got so many notes here. So ultimately, in the end, Eli painted a story of fruit. He stayed strictly to Fruitvale's story and the direction that Ryan Coogler was giving to us to really make us feel and understand. And he painted, in a way, pitched a good story from what Fruitvale was talking about. So Eli is getting the point.
Wow. Okay, so we have 2 for Eli. He is going to take this round and equalize the match. Let's just hear quickly, Alan, your verdict, who'd give it to, and a couple of thoughts.
I thought, Eli, you did do a good job, combating some of the holes that Andrew was saying that are in Fruitville. Unfortunately, I would have gone with Andrew because basically you guys did such a good job painting the pictures of why each part of the film, the way it was filmed, the acting performances were necessary to tell each story. I just like the favorite better. And Andrew reminded me of that. And he put out the flaws in Fruitville, which I agreed with him totally. Even though, Eli, you did a good job of, combating those flaws, but there were still the same flaws to me in the same manner. So I would have gone with Andrew.
Okay, so that round to 1 in favor of Eli. The match is set at 2 points each. On a speed round question. Now, for everyone watching, the way this works, we are going to throw the question at the competitors. This is impromptu, this is unprepared. We'll call out an answer. Whoever I hear the answer from first will take their argument first. 5 seconds to give their arguments, then it switches over to the other player. Then we have a go each of 30 seconds, and then a go each of 20 seconds. So this is going to be quick. This is going to be intense. Are you both ready?
Let's do it.
Yep. The speed round question is: what is the worst sci-fi movie of the 1990s?
Star Trek Insurrection.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Wow. You can cut the tension. It is hot in here. Eli hit us with his answer first, Star Trek Insurrection. I actually don't know Star Trek, so I'm going to assume that was a 90s film. I'm sure I'm getting a confirmation there.
Yes,
so thank you. 45 seconds. Eli, whenever you're ready.
Okay, when you look at Star Trek Insurrection, you're very much trying to see a very great film with great actors in it. Instead, you don't get a great film. You get a film that very much feels like a TV show episode. And I don't want to watch the TV show when I'm watching a movie. I want to watch a movie that feels different and feels like it needs to be something that needs to feel like a feature-length film Star Trek story. And this one, it could easily have been an hour-long Star Trek episode that could have easily been on TV. Instead, I see a movie that could easily have been dealt with in at least 45 minutes and not an hour and some odd minutes. That's why I believe Star Trek Insurrection is the worst sci-fi film of the 1990s.
Okay. So, 45 seconds now to Andrew, Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, whenever you are ready.
My opponent says that he doesn't want to watch a TV show. I would rather watch a TV show than a feature-length toy commercial, which is exactly what Phantom Menace is. Everything is set up so you can make a toy out of it, especially the pod racing scene, which also in itself in filmmaking is lazy because it was just a turn to the left and then a swipe at it. Turn to the left, then a swipe at it. Also, there are so many problems with this movie. The whole ending is terrible. The whole peace thing, it was in the wrong spot. They should have ended with Qui-Gon's funeral. And if they had done that, it would have boosted it a little bit more in my favor. But no, they ended it with that. Jar Jar Binks is one of the most annoying characters ever put to film. Your character doesn't have a character. Your movie doesn't have a character like that.
Time. Okay, so just be very careful, gentlemen, just to stop promptly on time, please.
Sorry.
So we are going to go 30 seconds now, no worries. 30 seconds now. Eli, again, it's back to your turn. 30 seconds whenever you're ready.
You talk about how the Star Wars movie should not have ended in a peaceful mode. When you look at Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, it ends with a happy ending. It ends with the three main characters with medals. In Star Wars Episode 1, it's very memorable. It has a lot of more memorable characters like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Maul, and it even has epic music and a great fight sequence between those three said characters. And it has a great pod racing scene. In my movie, it's completely cookie cutter Star Trek TV episode.
Okay, and that's the 30 seconds there. So I'm just going to put that back on the clock super quickly, and it's back over to you, Andrew, whenever you're ready.
First of all, we're not arguing Episode 4. We're arguing Episode 1. And your movie also has really great music in it. It's actually really fantastic music. The pod racing scene, as I said, it's very problematic because all it is a turn to the left and then a swipe. Turn to the left, then a swipe. The ending is terrible. And Qui-Gon, Darth Maul is terrible. When he had the chance, he could have killed him. But instead, he was a dick and just showing off. It was like, yeah, look how badass I am. Instead of just doing the thing he should have done in the first place, which was kill him. He's a terrible villain in that sense because he wasted his opportunity.
Okay, so now we are finishing off. There is 20 more seconds. This is your last 20 seconds of the kit. Quick, make it clear, make it as the best you can be. Best of luck to both of you. Back to Eli, 20 seconds whenever you're ready.
Star Wars Episode 1 of Phantom Menace was created for children. You're constantly complaining that it's created for children. Star Trek Interaction was supposed to be a thought piece for adults, and it doesn't become a thought piece. It's constantly talking about how boring these villains are. At least with Star Wars, it has memorable villains, it has memorable characters, and it has a lot of memorable moments that actually make it enjoyable, whereas Star Trek is just a complete boring...
Okay, 20 seconds on the clock. This is the last 20 seconds of the match. It has been a hell of a match. Andrew, take us home whenever you're ready.
You think that it's meant for children, but so are the other ones, which actually have touched on adult subjects a lot and do it a lot better. Your movie has really good characters that have very good interactions with each other, where the interactions in mine don't really work at all because Jar Jar's either annoying or it doesn't help the story at all. In fact, this movie hurts the Star Wars franchise more than it enhanced it, like your movie does.
Time, you're long gone. Okay, so that is that. The argument's done. They're closed off. It's over to judges now to pick a winner. Ryan Payne, hit us with your thoughts, please.
I'd say hold on to finish up my notes, but it's pretty quickly here. The point's going to Andrew because Andrew, he got in more details with this movie. He specifically referenced the piece ending. He talked about the swipe edits. He also talked he touched on Jar Jar Binks, but other than that, he focused on other points of Phantom Menace that makes it a bad sci-fi movie. And Eli, even though he talked about how Insurrection does feel like an episode, he did not get a chance to go into more details about it, like maybe the shabby plot, the bad use of some of the character interactions. With Andrew, he did choose details of Episode 1 to show why it is a bad sci-fi movie of the 90s. And as I just said earlier, Andrew gets the point.
So, Alan, what do you think?
All right, Eli, you you did your best to try to get us to that insurrection being unnecessary, completely unnecessary, because and you were correct. It was unnecessary. It felt like a TV show that should have just stayed on TV. But Andrew gets the point because he stated clearly what happened with Phantom Menace. Phantom Menace ruined a franchise. It ruined it. I won't even acknowledge the prequels exist. I hate them so much. I have a 7 and 8 year old, or a 7 and 8 year old, and a 10-year-old kid who are never going to watch the prequels as long as I have anything to say about it. So I'm going to go ahead and give Andrew the point there.
Hey man, I hate the prequel
Kevin,
too, but I'm trying not to be personal.
Kevin, I will actually come to your thoughts on this in the post-match interviews. Nothing personal, just a time thing, really. And because I have an announcement to make, and your winner by a score of 3-2, it is Andrew the Dive Barr moving on into the next round. Holy shit! That was a match and a half. Wow. So, like I just said, it is time for post-match interviews. I'm going to come firstly to commiserate today's hard-fought. I'm trying to find a better word for loser because you're not a loser from this match, Eli. It was a fantastic match. You have unfortunately been defeated, though. What are your thoughts on how you performed, how the match went today?
I thought it went completely different how I thought it was going to go. Honestly, I look back at my argument that I was thinking was, how did I win those? How in the world? Because a majority of the movies we were talking about today, never seen them. I had not seen past the second Ice Age movie. So when I was going for it, I was like, all right, here we go. And then when I won it, I was like, oh, cool. When I was arguing against the favorite, all I was saying was, I've never seen the favorite, so let's hope my knowledge about Fruitvale Station works. And apparently it did. I honestly thought, especially in that one, I was like, all right, Andrew's won. He had a lot of great points. I would honestly, if I was one of the judges, I'd probably have given a point to Andrew. But seeing as how I got that point, I was very proud of myself for that. And when it came to the last one, all I'm thinking about now is I should the plot of Star Trek Insurrection, and I very much think that if I would have done that, I might have had a better chance. Because trust me when I say The Phantom Menace is not the worst Star Wars movie. It is not. If you have not seen Attack of the Clones or the animated Clone Wars movie, then you have not truly seen. You do not understand the bad Star Wars movie. So that's why. And plus, I just thought this was a fun match. This was honestly a fun match. It was very even throughout the entire thing, and I was very much thinking that there was a chance early on in the first round where I was thinking, oh, Andrew's definitely winning this match. But then whenever I was coming out, I came out of the first round and it was down 2-2. It was up 2-2. I was like, all right, well.
You have just sort of touched on that. You were, after the first 2 rounds, 2-0 down. So do you, even though you haven't come away with the win, do you feel like the strength of character you showed to actually fight back from that gives you a real platform going forward? And where do you see yourself going from here outside the tournament?
I think being able to show that I can fight off a 2-0 like against me is something that people should worry about, because it shows that I'm very good at getting my point across and being able to pull up talking about movies that I've never seen, because I'm good at making stuff up. Again, as Andrew and I were talking about earlier with Iron Man 1 about the improv and having a great scene partner, he was a great scene partner in this point as I was able to improvise. So I think very much that I think this is very true that people should beware of me and be on their guard whenever, if they were to see they're going up against me, like, oh, Eli can have a good match, nothing deficit. And also he's good at making things up. So we need to watch out. And for after the tournament, I can see myself playing again. I don't know when playing, and maybe even, who knows, maybe down the line getting title shot in the future. I don't know. I'm just looking forward to seeing what Andrew does in the future now.
Fantastic. Well, I have to say you've fought fantastically. You've been a lot of fun, and your confidence is fantastic with that. So we'll definitely see you back, and I personally look forward to it. So let's go over to Andrew, who is progressing in the tournament. That was not made easy for you, was it?
Nope, sure wasn't. I'm going to be honest. I thought the one I thought that I was going to win, I lost, and the one I thought I was going to lose, I won. So this match was completely unpredictable. I thought for sure I was going to lose that first question. But here's the thing: you're only as good as your opponent makes you, and Eli's a great opponent, so he pushed me to be even better. And he brought up some really good points that I had not thought of in some arguments. I'm happy that my hatred for episode 1 was able to actually pay off for something. And I don't really have much to say. I'm very thankful for not only the judges' decisions, but also for Eli for being such an amazing opponent. And I'm very scared because I know who one of the two people I might be facing off against are. And help!
Funny you should mention it, because that was what I was going to bring up next. You're now 2-0. You are going to play the winner of Ryan O'Regan and little-known newbie Chance Ellison.
Help!
Any thoughts?
Help! That's all my thoughts. Help! Someone help!
So, with that, we'll go over to today's judges, who have also been fantastic and played their part in this match. One of them has disappeared, so we will go over to. We'll get him back. So whilst we're waiting, let's go over to Ryan. Just very quickly summarize your thoughts on this match.
Yeah. I mean, what can they say? They said it right. This was a great match. I mean, look, to be honest, you guys, it's not about how well. It's not about if you've seen the movie or not. It's about how well you can argue the point. And sure, to be honest, I just like with Ice Age, I stopped watching after the third one, mainly because the rest sounded ridiculous. But it was all about how you guys argued the point. And you guys argued well. I mean, and I liked some of your techniques or your approaches. Some of you looked at the more technical aspects of the movie. Some of you looked at the story aspects, and sometimes you mix a little bit of both. That's how it works. And it's pretty much 5 minutes. You guys are like trapped in a room, up against the wall with a gun to your head. So you gotta try to put out as much information as you can to convince us. And so you guys did well. I just have to say, Andrew, don't be scared about who you're facing next. It's all about the questions you get and how well you research those questions and how well you can counter your opponent. So if by chance, no pun intended, you get him,
yes,
or you get Ryan Regan, just focus on the question at hand and you'll be fine. Like I said, it all comes down to how well you argue the point. And believe me when I say you guys did well, and you showed in the speed round you had more knowledge, at least regarding the movie that you knew about. So
that's right.
Yeah,
the one I knew about.
When it comes to the speed round, having seen the movie helps. But when it comes to just overall questions, you guys have plenty of time to research it. So don't worry about if you haven't seen this movie in the future, because believe me, there's movies I've debated that I've never seen, and I'm still able to at least argue the point well.
Superb. So, as I say, you did a fantastic job judging today, Ryan. Alan, again, this was not an easy match to call. You did a great job of it. What do you feel having watched that now, having seen the result? How do you feel about it?
Well, seeing good debaters debate makes me want to jump in and debate. And you guys, Andrew is exactly right. Eli, you are a great opponent. You made some killer points, and I love your technique in that You didn't get flustered at any point, or if you did, I couldn't tell. You were steady, even, calm, and I went to a lot of the technical aspects, which I appreciated. And I could have sworn you've seen both of the movies in the first question. So good job with that. Yeah, you both did great. And Andrew, be ready for anybody. I think you come with such passion when you argue that I think you'll be fine no matter who you go up against. And I'd love to go up against both of you myself. So good job today. It was fun.
Absolutely, 100% agreed. Both have been fantastic. This was an awesome match. It's Andrew who is progressing in the tournament, but there are no losers today. It was a lot of fun. We've had a great time. We've talked some great movies. We've talked some not so great movies. We do not have Kevin back, I'm afraid. So hats off to him.
Oh, wait, he's backstage.
Oh, he's backstage. Okay, if he gets in, we can hear his thoughts super quick. Here he comes.
Hey guys,
Kevin. Hey, no worries, you're back. So perfect timing. Round us off. We were just saying it was a really hard match to call today. The judges did fantastic to sort of keep the verdicts fair and concise. So just very quickly, round us off with what your overall thoughts on the match were.
Yeah, I'll keep it quick, guys. Great job tonight. Eli, you did wonderful. If you really did pull those questions out of your arse, then you did a wonderful job. Andrew, good luck in the next round. Whoever it is you are facing, study up and and to this guy up here, that guy. Good luck to him too. No, I had to go take a pill because y'all said the word Star Wars and bad too many times in the same sentence. I just had no. I'm just joking. No, good job tonight, guys.
Absolutely, 100%. So, like I say, it has been a lot of fun. It has been informative. It has been intense. We've had a great time. I want to say thank you to the judges for their hard work. I want to say thank you for the competitors, both of you putting on an amazing job. We always want to thank the people behind the scenes, the editors, the organizers for making this happen. This has been Movie Battleground, the tournament, and we will see you guys later.